Great, so the next section we're going to work from is from chapter 13. So we have now played around with point data. So when we're reading in our data that comes with the specified latitude and longitude, so Qgis can work directly with them. Next, we're going to bring in our data about counts of crime per LSOA area. So this is where we're going to need to also bring in the corresponding shapefile for the LSOA in order for that to give us our visual boundaries and create a table join between our data and this shapefile in order to show this on the map. So first up, I'm going to bring in the shapefile. And this is a shapefile that I asked you to take a local copy of from either GitHub or from Slack. So the way we go and find that is use this icon here, which is called Add Vector Layer. So shapefile is a type of vector layer. And here we navigate to that shapefile. And it's this LSOA 2011 Southwest 5 Forces .shp, this shapefile. So I can see here that I've also got, that's the UK shapefile that we created earlier. That's our base map that's sitting there. So let's select our LSOA shapefile. So again, that was using this icon on the left for adding a vector layer. So we navigate and then to our file, and then we select add to add it to our map, and then close. So we can see now that it's been added to our layers panel on the left. So we can turn it on and off. And we can see the visualization of it on our map. Oh, I've just noticed something I forgot to show you in the headquarters. So I've just covered that here. So I've just clicked back on my headquarters layer to show the styling over here. And whatever we have written in this area under legend will appear here. So you may want to edit that to be something that makes more sense. So for example, this is showing whether it's police, whether or not it's a fire headquarters as well. So if it's false, that means it's just police. And if it's true, that means it's police and fire and rescue. And so then that is going to be populated over here in our legend. Sorry about that, skipped that bit. Sorry, so back to our shapefile. So as for the world map and also the headquarters data, again, this has its attribute table. So we can open it up here, open the attribute table. I have no idea why my they're going behind. So if I dock it, here we go. So here we have the attribute table for the shapefile. And so as we've learnt, we can highlight in here and zoom to selected features. So here we can see the visual representation on the map of these 5 in Plymouth, and working vice versa, undoing that, selecting an area there, and then we can get it to come up to the top and linking our data from the attribute table to the visual representation on the map. So at the moment, this data only contains the default values, the default fields that come in with the shapefile. So we're needing to bring in our data, do a table join to this shapefile in order to have access to our data to include it on a map. So again, this data is in a CSV file. Firstly, I'm just going to unselect all of my features. So this is the one we used for the shapefile. This is the one we used for our CSV file. For this, we are looking at the one which has street in the title. So it's a CSV file. Here it's asking for point coordinates, but we don't have any to give. We don't have our latitude and longitude. So instead we say it's got no geometry, because our geometry is stored in this field here, but it doesn't mean anything to Qgis. This is the unique code we use to link it up with the shapefile. So when we add, it's now appearing in our layers here, but it has changed nothing to the map because I just open the attribute table for it, which of course is behind. Oh, that's the headquarters one. Okay, if I look at it this way. So this data has this field, this file I've brought in, it has these fields. So it has the LSOA code with the unique code, and then it has for each of our polygons, it has a value of the counts of crime. So we need to join that file to our shape file, and we do that by doing what's called a table join. So we double click on the shape file, so on the LSOA shape file, and at the moment we only have the 4 fields that come in as standard. And if we click on joins here in order to initiate the table join, and then this little green button, plus button down here, add, so we're going to add a table join. And then we point to the data the file that contains the data we want to join in. That's the one we've just added. We point to the column that contains the LSOA code in this file, and then we also point to the column that contains the LSOA code in our shape file. So because we've initiated it from our shape file, which we need to, so we know it's our shape file, then we need to give it the information about which other data file we want it to join with, and then the 2 respective columns from each the shape file and from our data file. When we click OK, we've created our join, and when we go back to this fields column for our shapefile, these were the 4 that were already there, and now it's brought in from our other data file the other values. Apply, OK. I'm going to open this up again. Sometimes let's close that.
Refresh it.
That was a good idea. The other option, refreshing, thank you. I'm going to come into this problem again. Have you ever had this problem of it coming behind? Oh, look at them all stacking up behind there. All hiding. Very bizarre. Don't need that one. Okay, so here, right, so this, because I've got multiple attribute tables open, I've got a tab here to access each of them. So there's our headquarters attribute table. Over here, I have the attribute table for the data we read in. And then here, I have the attribute table for the shapefile, which have the standard columns that it came in with. And now over here, we have the counts of crime. So now we have that. We're now wanting to specify the layer styling for this shapefile. So let's click on the shapefile in our layers styling, in our layers panel. We could have done that over here. So by selecting that, at the moment, it's the default of the single symbol. So it's this color for each of them. And what we are going to use for this case is the graduated. So we used categorized for the points because we were defining it based on the Boolean, the category true or false, whereas now we're looking at the a continuous value. So we're using graduated. And here we need to point to the column which we want to plot. So I'm going to choose the first one, antisocial behavior. And I'll go through these in a minute. I'm going to just to show as an example, I'm going to choose the mode of equal interval. And that is going to take for every, so for the range of values for that category, so in this column, it's just going to take the min and the max, and it's just going to divide it up by the number of classes that have been specified. So you can change this to be the number you'd like. And you can also change the color ramp here, either by defining the starting and the end color, or you can use some predefined color ramps. Now, the reason that this map isn't looking too great, well, I'm gonna just show you one thing before we go into why this looks like it isn't doing much. And that's because in the areas where there are a lot of LSOAs, and the symbol has given it a black boundary, we can't really see any colors because of the black boundaries. So the way we can change the properties for all the symbols, so the same as the properties which we had for the points, when you want to change it for all of them, you're changing this value up here, and then you click individually on these when you want to change just that one. So because we want to change it for all, we click on the all the symbols, and then we need to click on this simple fill to bring up the more options, because on this one we're just changing the color. Once we go there, we have more options available, and it's this stroke color that we are wanting to change. And on the far right, this is all very fiddly, apologies for this. On the far right here, there's a little arrow where you click on that button to get edit. I'll go through this again. And what this has brought up is this expression builder. If you go through my notes I've been in the notes I've introduced expressions throughout, but it's a little bit more complicated than just the clicking that we've been currently doing. So I wanted to just give more of an overview today, and then those that are interested can go and look at the other places you can use expressions. But for this example, we're needing to use it. And here you can type more interactive functionality that is dependent on other variables. So for this, we don't want the stroke color to always be the same. We want it to be dependent on the fill color. And so we type in this box, let me get it right. So it's at symbol underscore color. And then what that's doing is, instead of having this boundary of black, it's giving the boundary the same as the symbol color. So I'm just going to go through that again. We click over here on the symbol because we want to change it for all of these. We need to click simple fill to get access to the properties about the stroke color. Then it's on the far right. So now I've put something in, it's letting you know that this epsilon is saying there's an expression in there. So you click on the right on the edit, and then fill this expression in at symbol color. So that's a very useful thing to know when you're creating your maps. So the reason why this map isn't looking great, on purpose I selected this equal interval, which may sound good. You're just chunking your values up between the min and the max, but it's not good because Qgis allows us to view our data as a histogram here, load our values in. And we can see that all our data is fitting in where the first range is. And so because we've got a very high outlier here, so even though we've truncated it up into equal parts, all our data is taking one color, or the majority of our data is taking one color. So you can use this histogram when we have our values to inform how you'd like to define your ranges. So there's other modes that are useful down here, like equal count instead, which is more useful, will truncate, sorry, not truncate, will divide the ranges up so there's an equal count of polygons lying in each class. And then you have some other options. Pretty breaks I don't find useful. Again, it's all about having a nice round number. So I generally use this equal count. I'd probably round that up to 40, make these kind of nice round numbers, but roughly use that as a guide. So yeah, so things you can change are your color ramp, this mode, the number of classes. You can just up this and it will automatically, change this and it will automatically recalculate your ranges. If you don't like a particular symbol or you want to change one of the colors, and you just double click and change a specific color. Or you can just do it by changing the overall color ramp. So once you have some data color displayed for one of your columns, you may be interested in looking at a second column. So you can up here change and look at a different column, bicycle theft. So that's the second one over. And then if you want to use the same ranges that was set up previously, you just click apply and it will apply those colors to your new data. But what we can see has happened here is there's been some values that fall outside of the ranges, which is why we've got the gaps. And so there's some values a lot lower because it only goes to 4. So here, if we click classify again, it will recalculate these values now based on the bicycle theft. Remember, you've got your undo, redo buttons down here. So if you didn't mean to override that, you've just undone all your good work that you liked, what you've just set up. You can go back to it. And can you go back to the... Okay, so you can go back to the other ones you've set up. And what I would do instead is I would take a copy, go over here on the left, right click, duplicate layer, and then I'd work with a separate layer of the data. So I'd leave the one that I liked and I'd come on then, so I could turn that one off on my map, turn this one on, change that to bike theft, classify, and then I'd play with this visualization and leave the other one be. So a couple more things to show you that is very useful is if I then decided I liked this range and colors that I've set up here and I want to apply it to the other one, you can right click styles, copy styles, and it's symbology, and go to your other one, right click styles, paste styles, and it will bring it across. So that's one useful. This is all documented in that in the PDF. So that's one way of taking a style and putting it on your other layer. And then maybe you want to have maps for all of your columns, in which case you may decide to have a common legend for all, that you've spent a lot of time and you've worked out a good range of values and colors that works for all your columns, in which case you can export and save Qgis layer style file as, so demo, and you can save this file so then it is available for you to use in like other projects, as well as being able to bring it in. So I'll just show you that over here. You bring it in, you can open your saved style. You over here, what's that? Style manager, open, and you can then open up your style and bring it in. I think, okay, that's a lot to take in. This was the biggest chunk. Save to last when your brains are a bit frazzled. So go through chapters, what are we up to? Is it 50? No, starting from 14 to 15. So open your data, the CSV, open your shapefile and make a join and have a play with the graduated styling over here in your layers styling. Oh, and sorry, Heather had a question about how to access the pick. So if you anywhere in your data, anywhere in the software where you're choosing colors, you'll have a option which is called pick color. So you've got one there. If I clicked on it here, it would then come up again. If I came here, this pick color is where you choose to get your pipette, and that pipette allows you to go on any pixel, and then your color is chosen by wherever your pipette is. So that's under under any of the colors under the pick color. Okay, go and have fun. Come back, sorry, we are running over. Come back at past, and I'll just do a quick roundup then. I've got one other quick thing to show you about how to export your maps, but yeah, it's just a quick show and tell. Okay. Thank you.